So what would be the best Betfair trading strategy? Something that beginners and professionals can understand alike. Something that you know is definitely going to occur. You know where to look for it. You know what direction the odds are going to go in, and you know what to do and what will trigger your entry into this particular market. Something that is almost certainly going to win. Now that sounds like an unrealistic checklist, but the fact is that this trade does actually occur, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. If you're interested in learning to use Betangel, head on over to our website where you can download a free trial. If you're interested in learning how to use it, then head over to the Betangel Academy where you can do exactly that. And if you want to talk to like-minded people, then head on over to our forum. So when you're looking to do a Betfair trade, ideally you'd want everything stacked up in your favor. As I've mentioned in previous videos, trading opportunities tends to be a graduation of risk. Some trades are difficult to find, some trades that are easy to find. They all have varying payoffs, and you have to manage your risk within that market. As I've mentioned before, trading is all about taking risk, not avoiding it. That is where you'll find the best opportunities. However, some opportunities do occur on a regular basis that are quite predictable, and at certain times of the year they're much more predictable than at other times of the year. And as I'm recording this video, we are actually at a peak opportunity for a certain type of strategy, and therefore I thought it was worth talking you through specifically what you're looking for, how to find these potential opportunities, and you'll know immediately what to do with the trade as soon as I explain exactly what it is. But it occurs with amazing regularity at this time of year, and it can present the opportunity to create some enormous trades. So, you know, I've earned a 4-figure sum from this trade, not last month, last week, or in one day, but on one particular race. And this opportunity is going to come around on a regular basis, and it typically occurs sort of April, May-ish time when you're looking at horse racing markets. So let's explore in a little bit more depth exactly what I'm talking about. So when I start up Betangel in the morning, the first thing that I do is I load all of the markets that I'm going to trade into Guardian. And one of the reasons that I do that is because I'm very interested in basically what's ahead on me on that particular day. And there are a number of things that I'm looking at. But when we're looking at horse racing, typically what I tend to do, put all of the meetings into Guardian, have a quick browse across them to see where there's any sort of interesting facets within the market. It could be, you know, excessive volume I see on one particular market, which are the stronger or weaker meetings. But one of the things I will do also is look at the race type, because the race type can give you information about how you're likely to trade it. So if I see a handicap race on the card, then I know that these horses must have raced a few times, they've got a handicap rating, and they're being put into a race where theoretically they should all have an equal chance of winning. And now you can get competitive and uncompetitive handicaps, but typically when you get a competitive handicap, the market tends to be range bound. That's one of the characteristics that you tend to see when you see all of those on the card. But one of the markets that I like looking for when we're talking about sort of April, May time during the year are all of the maiden races. And it's worth me explaining why I'm interested in the maiden races and why they present some of the best opportunities at this time of year. So when you look at a race card, you'll get a variety of different types of races on that race card. Handicap races are designed that horses of equal ability will race each other. If you didn't have handicap races, a lot of races would not take place because you've got lower quality horses that just wouldn't get a look in. So basically, having a handicap race is where you get equally rated horses that race each other and get the chance to go out there and race. Now, at the top end, you get group racing, or pattern racing, it's sometimes called on TV, and that is basically where the highest quality of horses exist. And there are a whole load of different types of race meetings that you could have and race types. I'm not going to go into each one of them from here, but in April, May, I'm very, very interested in the maiden races for a good reason. But the idea of a maiden race is all of the horses within that particular race have never won before. So when you see a maiden on a race card, that is basically saying none of these horses have won. And it could be that these horses have run 5, 6 or more times and they just cannot win for one reason or another. And therefore they get stuck in a maiden race with other horses that cannot win, so that one of them finally wins. But when we're looking at the early part of the flat season, what you tend to find is you get 2 or 3-year-old maidens where these horses are running under rules for the first time. They're coming out on the course, they haven't raced before, they have no rating, and therefore, of course, they haven't won a race. So when you actually look at a maiden at this time of year, you may very well often find that a lot of the horses have absolutely no form whatsoever. So why are these races interesting from a trading perspective? Well, if you think about it, trading on pre-off horse racing in that last sort of 10 minutes or so, when all of that money floods into the market, as I've said before, it's based around emotion and opinion. And what better place to have emotion and opinion when you have absolutely no form lines whatsoever? Now, you could look at how the horse has been bred. That may give you a clue as to how it's run. But of course, it's never actually been out on a race course before. So as a consequence, how do you know what price it's going to be? They make for really, really good trading markets. You get big sweeping moves like wildebeest roaming across the Serengeti. Slight exaggeration there, but basically you're going to get really good trading markets. And those markets do not have form lines. They cannot be judged. Nobody knows what the real price is, and therefore you get some really, really big moves within these markets. So at this particular time of the year, I take a lot of care to have a look at the race cards to see if I can identify where the maiden races are and where the opportunities are. But there are also other opportunities when you look at these particular types of maiden races. So as I mentioned at the start of this video, I go into Guardian, I line up all of those races. But if you're interested in trying to understand specifically on any one specific maiden what the build-up of that maiden is, it's really, really simple, because on betangel you can add in the form and the age of the horse on any of the trading interfaces. So you don't need to go to the racing post and look in all of the detail. You can actually just bring it up on the screen, and I actually have a column on my one-click screen that has form and another column that has age, so I can tell, is there any form there whatsoever? Have they been racing this season at all? And also, what is their age? Because if it's a 2-year-old race and there's basically no form lines and it's a maiden, then obviously, clearly, this is going to be an interesting market for me. And you can gauge just exactly how that race is constructed and what the opportunities are if you display those things on your screen. But also think about it. These horses have never seen a race course before, so perhaps they're not going to enjoy their first outing onto a race course. You've got crowds, you've got other runners, you've got stalls banging around and all of this sort of thing. And this is what presents the biggest opportunity for you when you're trading these particular types of races. So if a horse has never been on a race course before, you don't know quite how it's going to behave. And when it presents itself to the stalls, you don't quite know how it's going to react to that, especially when it's suddenly lined up against loads of other horses. Is its mind going to be on this particular race, or will its mind be elsewhere? Very often you can pick up on these things in the parade ring, either through the behavior or the demeanor of the horse. That will give you a clue as to whether it's really settled in. You'll very often hear commentators talking about horses being particularly green, and the parade ring will give you the opportunity to witness that for the first occasion. Now, when the horses go to post, you may also hear, sometimes it's obvious, because if a horse is being walked to post, then that's probably not a great sign. But sometimes what you see, especially with the 2-year-old maidens, is that the horse goes free to post. It's looking a bit green, is what the commentators very often say. And by that we mean that the jockey is struggling to get it under control. The horse has been trained for a little while, it's been taught that it needs to run, it goes out on the racecourse and it starts running. So what do you think happens to the price at this particular moment in time? Do you think that the price starts to gradually come in as people see this horse? Or do you think that people who are tempted to back it suddenly stop backing it and people maybe start laying it as well? Well, of course, the situation here is that if you see a horse running free to post, then necessarily you would lay it. And in a maiden, that is going to be an extremely negative sign. This is always the case in any particular type of racing, but when you're looking at a maiden, then that situation is going to be amplified significantly. So then, of course, we get to the final stage, which is loading into the stalls. If you have something at a very short price, and it has a problem loading, then that price is going to start creeping out, and sometimes quite dramatically in that final stage of the loading process. But if you see a horse there that is at a shorter price, then it will dramatically get re-rated if it has a problem, either on the way to post or actually loading at the stalls. Interestingly enough, 3-year-old maidens as well that have never raced, that could indicate that there was a problem that that particular yard knew, and therefore they delayed its first race until the following season. So keep an eye on 3-year-olds as well. Don't just limit this particular strategy to 2-year-olds. You've got opportunities on both. So of all the strategies that I've given you, this is one that's the most difficult to capture a video on, because you're looking at the opportunity, and for quite a few races you may not see anything. Everything just goes perfectly normal. And then 1 in 10, 1 in 20 races, you get an absolute slam dunk opportunity. Why is it a slam dunk opportunity? Because you know what you're looking for, you know how the situation is going to occur. You know that if the horse is fractious in the pre-parade ring or on the way to post or loading, that its price is going to drift. So I'm sort of hovering around waiting for this opportunity. I see an opportunity within the market and then I jump on it. It's not the sort of thing that is conducive to setting up a video recording platform and then actually recording the trade, because I don't know when it's going to happen. I could just end up recording one after another and then eventually catching one. But I can tell you that this is actually quite a frequent occurrence at this particular time of the year, because as we go into April and the beginning of the flat turf season, there are lots of maidens coming out for the first time, and as we go through this particular period, you will get these opportunities occurring on a regular basis. Maybe not every day, but definitely every week. And if you just keep your eyes open, then you will definitely spot one of these opportunities. As we move through May, there are less and less maidens going out, and the horses that had first seen a course for the first time in April get to see the course on a few more occasions. Then their temperament begins to die down. So as we move into June, this strategy begins to sort of fade into the background. It's still there, and it's there every time over the course of the year, but basically less and less, because most of the horses have run, they've got a little bit of form, and they're also a little bit more settled in terms of their demeanour. So it's an opportunity that only really occurs on a good scale around April-May time of the year. I will pick off these opportunities as and when I see them, and then as we progress through the season and the form lines begin to develop, you can tend to take less focus away from them. But anyhow, it's a strategy that you know what's going to occur, you know how it's going to occur, you know the race in which it's likely to occur. All you have to do is sit and wait for that opportunity and then hit that lay button.